Hello and welcome to another episode of Absent with Our Lord podcast, everything faith, family, and outdoors. Join us on all social media platforms and share with friends and family. We hope you are encouraged and uplifted by our content as we share the good news, the gospel of Jesus Christ.
All right, guys, it's Jonathan here with AWOL podcast, Absent with Our Lord, and we're bringing you another episode here. And today we have on Nolan Goshey. He's from Crosby, Minnesota, and he is the owner, founder, and CEO of World of Waterfowl. So we got him on today on the podcast. We're just going to talk some things and get to know Nolan. I have Aaron Hall with me. I have Cassie and Mackenzie. And we're sitting around the table and getting to talk with Nolan. And we have a couple topics we're going to cover. And first, we'd like to get in, though, just about what is the World of Waterfowl and how you got started and your mission and purpose behind it.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me. Happy to be here. And World of Waterfowl is we started about 10 years ago. That buddy and I were sitting in the duck blind, if you can imagine that. And we were just kind of talking about how it's kind of fun. It's fun to reminisce on stories and tactics and this and that. It's like, it'd be cool to hear other people's stories and traditions. And so we're like, let's start a Facebook page and just kind of put it out there, and people can submit pictures and we'll post them up on our page, and we can talk about tactics, recipes, kind of success stories, and just kind of get to know people from all over the country. And that's kind of where it all started. And we grew our Facebook page and had a lot of fun with that. But I mean, kind of our mission is just to bring people together with, similar interests and have a good community around everyone and just kind of learn and grow with each other,
Excellent. Absolutely. That's what I enjoy about the duck blind in general. It brings together a mixture. And what exactly product are you capitalizing on right now at the World of Waterfowl? What would you say your main, I guess, goal or product or service that you're offering?
Right now, it's just pretty much community. I do have coffee. I have the waterfall roast coffee. That is kind of just something to kind of put the brand out there in terms of, I think a lot of outdoorsmen, we have that interest in common, where we love coffee, especially in the duck blind. It seems to taste better in the duck blind, so to speak. And so we started the coffee. Kind of the main thing we do have some apparel and stuff, but kind of down the road, we want to be like an outfitter of some sort, do like guided trips, have like, kind of an outpost or a main camp where people can come in and, just have some awesome hunts and make some memories and stuff with their kids, grandkids, whatever the case may be. And, but right now, it's just coffee and apparel and just community.
So I know you guys have started your YouTube channel or that journey. Are you guys going to do any videography and stuff with that this year?
Yes, that is correct. I did last week, I bought a camera, kind of just a starter vlog camera. And I have a few GoPros that are going to kind of incorporate, but that's kind of a learning curve. I've realized that there's kind of over my head in a lot of ways. I'm like, gosh, there's a lot more to this than, one expects, but that is kind of the goal, is to get a lot of content this fall and create kind of a vlog on YouTube and just share our journey and see where it goes from there.
Well, we started out waterfowl hunters. That's kind of what we've always done, but we have learned some valuable lessons through some trial and error on do's and don'ts. If you need a list, and unlike us, we learned a lot of hard ways. GoPro, for whatever reason, those cold mornings waterfowl hunt, you'll spend all night getting them charged up, getting ready, getting your gear, and then boom, you're dead in 20 minutes. You're like, what happened? What?
We don't even have cold mornings compared to what he's dealing with.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Yeah, breaking ice, yeah.
but definitely for getting gear, leaving gear, I mean, I've been back unloading boats, trucks, get back to camp, be like, oh, I left my GoPro out there. If it can be done, we've done it for sure. And it's all learning. It's part of the event. And with that, I would like to learn about what type. I mean, that's the good thing and the thing I love about waterfowl hunting. How do you guys hunt? What's your setup? What are you looking for? I mean, here, we get a lot of cornfields, a lot of fat mallards flying in. There's a little bit of timber and things like that. What's your normal setup look like?
Honestly, our normal setup is it's different from what a lot of people do. We actually are pretty small in terms of, like decoy spread. A lot of people go off huge spreads and this and that. We like to kind of find these backwaters. So a lot of our stuff is either going to be backwater of the Mississippi. I live right next to that. Or, like mainly puddle ducks in Minnesota is our big thing. Like first half of the season, we're on these, rice beds, with, maybe 24 decoys or so. And then later season, we kind of transition into like kind of lakes and other river parts for divers as the divers come down. But like we go to North Dakota a few times a year, and out there last year we had amazing success on both our trips with 11 decoys. Nice. And we hike in as far as we can, like to these offs that you can't see from the road, to places that nobody else really wants to get to, and we'll hike in with just 11 decoys. And as long as we're kind of where they want to be, it seems to not really make a huge difference on spreads and stuff. So we're pretty small, and maybe compared to a lot of people, but we kind of like that.
Yeah, I enjoy that. That's the way I started out. And when you're young, got a lot of years under my belt, that's what I look for, to pack in light, to carry light, to not have to struggle or pull sleds. And then even big water hunting, I've been able to lay out boat hunt and do a lot of different styles of hunt. But you're talking my kind of hunt right there.
Yeah.
If you're on the X, it doesn't matter how many decoys you have.
That's right.
Exactly. Yep.
And I guess would bring us into our next topic about things of that nature. How do you have a group that you go with pretty regularly to waterfowl hunt? Do you mix it up? How do you do that?
Right now, a lot of times it's me and a couple high school buddies. We graduated together. We do a lot of our hunting and stuff together, but we do have like family and relatives that will throw it, like that want to come in the mix. Every year I try to also bring one new person, kind of expose one new person to like waterfowl hunting. I think that's just awesome. I mean, a lot of people, if they don't have the gear or the equipment, like they just don't have the opportunity to go try it. So like that's kind of our goal too, is just to bring new people with. But mainly it's just me and a couple high school buddies that are the main kind of group.
Do you guys have any youth season? I know here in Southern Illinois we have we're next to Crab Orchard Wildlife Refuge. We have a youth hunt, and we have a whole bunch of kids in the area that want to possibly get into waterfowl hunting with their parents, and they come, and they come with us guides. We get them in blind safely and make sure everything is safe, gun safety. But I think 3 years in a row, Jonathan, in his blind that he guided, he's actually got to have a kid shoot their first duck, which I think Jonathan got more excitement out of that than the kid. But that's what it's all about, trying to get other people into the outdoors, and having a kid hold their first duck, and that excitement is something special.
Go ahead.
No, it is. I agree with that. We do have a youth season. It's a 1 weekend thing up here. I can't remember exact dates right now, but we do have it's mid-September, usually 2 weeks before the main opener. But that's how I started out getting into duck hunting, is with my dad. My dad would take me out on the youth hunts, and we'd go jump shooting and this and that. And it's like you said, I remember my first duck and shooting it, especially shooting one out of the air too for the first time and stuff. It's like you remember that, and you'll always remember that. And I think our dads, because I'd go with my cousins and stuff, and our dads, they were probably happier than we were at the time. And and kind of getting experience or incorporating, bringing new people into it. Like I know I can kind of relate to that feeling now, is seeing these people with that big smile on their face after they shoot their first duck, or, experiencing it for the first time. It's fun to witness. Oh
yeah. That's what, to Mackenzie's point, I had witnessed it a couple times out of the blind during those youth hunts, and there's nothing better. And then just to talk about the determination or the drive, there was one. It was foul weather. When we had drew you take and get the draw. It's like anything. You have 50 kids that want to go. You have a limited number of guys, limited number of places you can go. And we picked a blind that's good hunting, produces a lot of birds out of it. We call it the island blind. But that day the weather was not in our favor. It was wind, it was cold rain, it was right in our face, and I'm like, this is going to be a nightmare, because some of the kids we take, don't have the gear, like you said, don't have the means to stay out in the blind all day. And granted, we have tops and things like that, and it is over open water, but still, you're soaked by midday, and the birds were not working. It was just a rough time. And about 10 o'clock, I'm like, we don't have to persevere to do this anymore. Birds hadn't flown, just hadn't come in. I think we had 6 kids and about 4 or 5 adults, in the back. We were up with the kids up front, and just everybody bailed. And there was one little boy said, "I'm not leaving until I shoot a duck." And I was like, buddy, that's great. And I'm out here in this condition all the time. And if you want to stay. And I watched everybody leave, and it wasn't 15 minutes later. They were gone. They were at the boat ramp, and then a pair flew in, and he busted one. And oh my goodness, he started, the adrenaline hit. He was shivering, he was shaking, he was so pumped up, and that made my day. I was like, that's the best duck I've waited for. Terrible weather, but made it all worth it for sure. It was quite the story, and I got a picture with him, and it was wonderful. I'd do it 100 times over for sure. And that's the kind of things we're here about, the faith, the family, the outdoor experience, because that made his day, probably his life. He'll remember that. So waterfowl for us is still a ways off. When does it start for you guys in Minnesota?
Early goose will start here Labor Day weekend, and then that runs through kind of the month of September, 3 weeks or so. And then the last Saturday of September, is our waterfowl opener, and that runs for 60 days into December.
Nice. Is it all pretty well freezing up by then, by the time it's ending, or is it? Yeah,
it's usually pretty mild, warm and buggy. It seems like the first month of the season. Then you get to kind of Halloween is kind of like the turning point. It seems like where the migration, we start to kind of feel the effects of the migration coming through. And then the weather turns, usually like November usually starts getting pretty cold. And by the end of that month, you're breaking ice in the mornings, getting to your spot.
Do you have many ducks in Minnesota, and we're in your neck of the woods? I mean, do they come up there and do their pairing and raise are there a bunch of resident ducks that spend the summer there, or is that too far south still?
No, we do have, I would say, quite a few. I'd say the first couple weeks of our season, all the birds we're shooting are probably local birds. Mm-hmm. And then it takes, a good month or so, I'd say, before some of the northern ones start to show up.
I kind of thought that might be the case, the way you're talking about the weather early in the season, because, here it's not even that bad whenever we start, but we don't have, maybe some wood ducks that are local, but
okay,
nothing, nothing that really spends the summer and does their breeding and stuff here, so I kind of thought that might be the case.
Yep, I'd say most of Minnesota probably is kind of that borderline. Obviously, the further north, the thicker the kind of nesting locations and stuff are.
Well, I don't want to break the order here of the topics, but I want to hear more about Nolan Goshey myself. Kind of your history, your testimony. I may have just missed something, but on the AWOL podcast, I couldn't find any other podcast with you. Trying to do my homework and learn more about you. I followed you whenever Mackenzie sent me the link of you repping the AWOL shirt in one of your reels. That was whenever I learned about Nolan. But then whenever I found out we were going to interview you, I was trying to do my due diligence. But besides the social media, I hadn't really seen much. So, want to give us your backstory or whatever you want to tell us about you?
Yeah. So, I'm 31 years old. From central Minnesota and stuff, and I grew up kind of getting into duck hunting around like 10, 12 years old. it kind of grew the passion from there. And then I actually started out deer hunting as the first hunting I ever experienced, and that was fun. But then once I kind of got into duck hunting and I turned 16, got my driver's license, that's where my passion for duck hunting kind of grew, because I could kind of take control. I could go do my own thing. And I deer hunt still a little bit, but mainly waterfowl is my main focus. But, you know, I right out of high school, I went to be a lineman, and I did that for 10 years. The first 4 years of that, I traveled kind of around the upper Midwest, the Dakotas, Iowa, Nebraska, and stuff. Did that for 4 years, and then I worked 6 years at the local power company. And then a little over a year ago, I switched over, transitioned to my dad's electrical business to become an electrician, to kind of has more growth opportunity in terms of career, because I eventually will be taking that over, and just kind of the sky's the limit. And that's kind of what I'm all about, is growing and trying to find our true potential and stuff. And that's kind of, with World of Waterfowl, one of our, you know, missions is to kind of bring people together, but then to inspire people to, you know, take what God gave you and maximize it, because, you know, we get one life, and we want to see everyone go out there and win and do the things that they love to do for as long as possible. So that's kind of my quick history backstory, but trying to keep it brief for you guys.
No, appreciate that. You're not too much younger than me. I'm 37. You said you're 31, right?
Yep.
Yep. Whenever I was a kid, everybody, it was go to college, you know, pretty much pushing me away from learning a trade. And nowadays, I know they're very short on most of those trades, including the electricians. So I would say it's a good business to be in, a good trade to be working through to mastery.
It really is.
Go ahead, buddy.
It is. Okay. Yeah, it is it's something whenever I talk to, you know, these younger kids in high school and stuff, I'm like, ask them what they want to do. And, I encourage the trades, especially if you like to work. Kind of seems like a hard thing to find these days, but the trades, everyone that I'm friends with, and I know some other companies, we're booked out with work for quite a ways, and, you know, it keeps coming in, and it just seems like a lot of people, they aren't pushing the trades as much. And when I was in line school as a lineman, they're like, well, you guys, you're going to have a good opportunity coming up, because I think 10 years ago, like, the average age of the lineman in North America was about 50 years old. So there's going to be obviously a lot of turnover, you know, down the line. So I think that's pretty common with a lot of probably trades and industries right now.
For sure. I was talking to a guy the other day about some of this kind of stuff, and, you know, I think this applies to anything in life, you know, the World of Waterfowl, the Ruck to Work, whatever, AWOL, whatever it is. He said, you know, if you just show up, you're going to be way ahead of a lot of the other guys out there. You know, if you just show up. And I would say with your business, I run a side business doing some service work, and if you get there when you tell them you're going to be there, it's going to go a long way for your business. And I think that applies everywhere, really.
Exactly. Yep. Just being reliable and consistent. Yep.
Well, I'm about maybe 12 or 13 years older than you guys, and I'm going to figure that out one day. Hopefully sooner than later. Sometimes I lack in those, but always work to do that. Strive and know the importance of that, especially. I have 4 children of my own, and try and instill that into them. That's a daily job. Test my patience often.
So you guys, what's your how have you linked with First Phorm Outdoors? I guess if you could tell how you got integrated with First Phorm as a company, and then how, I guess, are you guys called staff members for First Phorm Outdoors, or I don't know how that.
Yeah, Legionnaires is kind of what we go by, but it started. You know, I've kind of been into fitness for probably 10 years or so now, and because when I became a lineman, I was like, you know, I realized that this was hard work, and like, this would be a lot easier if I was in better shape, you know, and stronger, this and that, and like climbing poles it's not easy. So that's kind of when I got into fitness pretty consistently, and so I did that for a while, and I've tried like most people, you try all these different supplements, different brands, this and that. And, going through that, like 4 years ago, I saw an ad, I believe on Facebook or something, about Phorm, and I was like, oh, I've never tried them, so I gave them a whirl, and I've ordered is the post-workout stack, Rip Your Float, and I tried that, and I was like, okay, I could tell right away that this was different, because I'm like, this flavor was just, undeniable. I'm like, holy cow, this is good. And then I kind of learned more about the company. I had a few more of their supplements or whatever, and then I actually, I think, got an email and says, if you want to join, kind of our team, like, you can apply here type thing. And so I did that, and that's when I got paired with Jake. I remember he called me, and because he's the director of Phorm Outdoors now, and but he called me, he interviewed me, he brought me on board, and it's been fun, because having him as my coach, my go-to guy at HQ there, because he's obviously passionate about the outdoors. I think that's why we've kind of matched really well. But then I remember him telling me about starting Phorm Outdoors. I'm like, yeah, I think that would be huge. I think the outdoor industry could really use something like that. Just kind of bunch of positivity, bringing people together, no certain niches or whatever, everyone's kind of under one umbrella, instead of trying to, say one hunting is better than the other, or whatever the case may be, but just bringing people together. And I'm like, I think that's something that the outdoor industry probably needs. And it's been fun to get to know these guys, that as we have gone and grown with that, and being at more and more events, throughout the country, is something that's coming down the line, and we've been trying to do for quite a while, or this last whole year now. So that's kind of how I got integrated with them, and it's been fun, and can't wait to see where it goes down the road.
Yeah, I know that nobody but me has been to headquarters at Phorm. It is absolutely shocking, and to just tell somebody like, hey, this company is good, right? This is just a good company. When you go there, I mean, I was a total stranger. I went by myself, and I pull up in the parking lot, and it was just like you were on, like you were a fan of a college or professional team. Like, everybody was welcoming. Hey, how are you? Like, you want to try this product? Do you want to, from the minute you get on or surround yourself with Phorm people, even locally here, though we have some Legionnaires that I follow on social media here in Southern Illinois. I mean, those people, what they instill in people to be the best version of yourself, and to incorporate that in outdoors, and then have it be part of World of Waterfowl, or be part of our Team AWOL, that is, it won't stop, because the momentum is just everlasting. The more and more that Phorm grows, I think that they could, I don't know how far Phorm can go, but my experience with the company, it's limitless.
It really is. It's sky's the limit, and what we can imagine them doing, they're probably going to exceed that at some point, it seems like. And just knowing the leadership there is, they're stopping at nothing to get what they want, and that's to keep growing and impacting as many people as possible. And I remember my first time at HQ too. It's an experience like none other. I mean, like you said, you feel so welcomed right off the bat, not knowing hardly anybody. I did know some people going into the first time I was there. I knew quite a few people, kind of virtually. But once you get to meet them, firsthand, it's crazy. And then Jake he's been a big inspiration with me and World of Waterfowl, just because, my buddy and I, we started that Facebook page like 10 years ago, and then we had a lot of fun with it for a few years, and then life got busy. I was traveling for work as a lineman, so my waterfowl kind of slowed down, and I think both of us, and then we just our page kind of got idled down a little bit. And Jake's been like, once I told him, like, yeah, I have this Facebook page, World of Waterfowl, he's like, dude, you should, that's when he kind of told me about Phorm Outdoors before, like, he had it officially started. He's like, this is something that I want to do. I think you could do it too with World of Waterfowl. And I'm forever grateful for him and the rest of the Phorm Outdoors team and what they've done for me. So, and I want to do that for others, be that inspiration for them.
Yeah, I think that God will put people in our path if we're willing to follow. And I mean, we we obviously don't know the end results of what our mission is for the kingdom, but it's people like that and just making the right connections and being a positive influence in each one of our, it's a big world. We have to reach a lot of people. So I think that is definitely a great path for you and your future. It will be really bright, being with having that outlet and those people of in a community, because I've not found one person that hasn't been encouraging, inspiring through that company.
Exactly, and that, like me and you, we can relate to First Phorm. It's like we look at it like, it's being around those people. It's inspiring, and that's one thing. Like I said, I want World of Waterfowl to be that place for other people that maybe aren't huge into fitness or whatever. Like First Phorm is kind of the main healthy lifestyle fitness, but maybe more outdoors wise, but just kind of having that community that people can be around and relate to and hopefully get better from and learn from. So.
I mean, it is cool. I remember listening or what Jake told me while I was there at headquarters is it was near whenever they were getting started and ramping up, and just the concept of trying to be the best version of yourself, to stay healthy through generations, to move the passion of the outdoors through the generations. I mean, we have the responsibility to be healthy. Jonathan has 4 kids. Fitness, health should be a priority in moving generational. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Keeping the outdoorsman, keeping the example and the passion alive through generations.
That's exactly. We talked about this last year in North Dakota, because we pack all our gear on our backs and we hike. I mean, we hiked in over 2 miles to the little sloughs that we were trying to hunt and stuff. And it's like, this is kind of why we work out. Like, most people don't get to these backwaters because, for one, there's no driving access, but most people aren't wanting to put that work in to get to these back areas, like puddles and ponds and stuff, that the birds they know there's no pressure back there. So just trying to live that healthy lifestyle, lead by example. And, it's kind of like you said, I want to see more grandmas and grandpas out there sharing what they love to do with their grandchildren. Like, that's what it's all about, is just kind of that family culture and those traditions and stuff, just keeping them alive and going as long as possible.
Exactly. And that makes me think, even, that's the way we take our kids when we vacation. They know we're going off the beaten path. They know we're going hiking somewhere. They know we're going to test some limits, because that's when you can embrace the things that very few people get to witness in this life. When you push yourself to those limits, when you travel that 2 miles, when you go to that distance to see that waterfall, or wherever it is you're going or going after, that pursuit of those things. That's exactly why we started AWOL, with that pursuit of passion in mind. The AWOL podcast is Absent with Our Lord, but the outdoors is the White Oak Legends, is excuse me, that group that finds that quiet time when you're out in the woods, or that time when you're waiting on the ducks and the sun's starting to crack the trees and the water's still and you hear a duck call through the timber. Those kind of pictures that you can only paint being out there and doing it and taking part of that activity. That's the absence that we find our refuge when we're out there in what our creators made, and getting to take part in those kind of scenery or those kind of events, and fitness and that go a long way. It's part of it. Mackenzie says I'm country strong. I'm just a Southern Illinois boy that grew up working on a farm, and that's all I've ever known, is that kind of hard work, that mentality that just keep going, till the work's done, and then it's time to play, then it's time to have fun. And that's what I say. I've said that on the podcast too about waterfowl. I've never met really lazy waterfowlers. Most of them like to work. Don't get me wrong, there's some out there, but most of them know it takes work. It takes pushing it. It takes some persevering. I guess the older we get, it's like anything. You want to retire, you want to go to that blind, you want to just sit there, somebody else make your coffee, somebody else cook, and do all that stuff, but sometimes you got to go with it and push yourselves. And that's probably our thought on it. What is your thoughts on faith in the outdoors and things of that nature, which we've covered a lot of that ground, but particularly when you're out in the outdoors, you talked about sharing it. How does that play into your company and your mission, what you're trying to do?
To further to your point too, is those harder hunts and stuff that when you have to work for it, it makes it more memorable as well. Because you don't remember all the easy stuff you do, but if it's hard and it's challenged you, you're going to remember that for a long time, and that's a good perspective to have. Going into some of these activities, and but facing the outdoors, they call it God's country for a reason, right? When we're out and alone in the woods, in the wilderness, and it, like you said, it's humbling, and it's a beautiful thing to watch when you're out there way before the sun comes up, and then you're sitting there with your friends or family, whatever it is, and you're, talking, but then seeing that first crack of light come up to the east and stuff, and watching the world come alive, and you're just like, wow, this is unbelievable. And like you said, this stuff you can't see on TV or in, a picture, like you got to experience it firsthand. But, God gave us all these things, and he gave us power over these animals so we can help provide for our families, for that, and being able to, live healthier, because I take pride in knowing where my food comes from. And that's what I love about fall, is there's this endless opportunities to go out and get your own, fill the freezer, and where it came from, that it's meant for you, and just being able to provide for your family and friends. And that's another way to bring people together too. Like, not everyone goes out and hunts, but being able to go out, hunt, get some food or fish, whatever the case may be, and bring people together and, share some memories over some good food and quality, and where it came from. But just being there. But like you said, I think that's kind of like when I've felt closest to God and stuff, is definitely out in the woods. It's when you're alone, it's quiet, and you're just kind of like, wow, this is amazing.
No, I definitely agree. And making those memories, that's what it's about. That's what we're going to pass on, our legacy, or the godly conversations, the times in the duck blind, or memories that we pass on, our traditions. And we got a chance to speak earlier, brought up a tradition I would like to hear a little bit more about. It's a hobby that I'm extremely unfamiliar with, but I hear you have a tradition of maybe some maple syrup. Can you tell us what you got going on with that hobby and how that works? Because again, that's news to me. It's something I know zero about.
Yeah, so that's an interesting one. This is our third season doing that, our third spring. So that happens in the spring, when basically we experience our thaw and the snow's melting. The maple trees start to, they start running. Basically the sap starts flowing up into the tree. That helps give the trees the nutrients to bud out the leaves and stuff. And so we'll go out. Usually this is in March, April. It all depends on kind of how the spring lays out. But once we want like 40 degrees during the day, and then below freezing at night, is kind of the optimal weather we look for in the spring. That's when the sap runs the best. But basically we go out, we tap maple trees, and we have a little rubber 3/8 hose or whatever that goes down to a 5-gallon bucket. So we'll tap about 140 trees or so right now. And we go out, we let them run, we collect them a few times, and we'll probably get 300 gallons or so collected, and we boil it. All you do is you take the maple sap, you boil it down it takes us a long time. There's a bunch of different ways to do it, with different kind of cookers and things like that. But we do it old fashioned on a stainless pan, over a fire. But we sit out there, we boil it down, and then it's typically a 40-to-1 ratio. It takes 40 gallons of sap boiled down to 1 gallon of maple syrup. But that's basically all it is, like maple syrup, is if you boil the sap down to basically just syrup. You evaporate all the water out of it. But we started that just kind of like spring, we come out, it's a season, it's kind of a messy season. There's all the snow melts, everything's muddy and a mess. And it's like, there's not tons to, because we can't ice fish because the ice is obviously in between melting and it's sketchy to go out there. But we're like, let's do some maple syrup. Like, it's kind of fun. It usually takes a few weeks to a month out of the spring, and where we collect through the week and we boil on the weekends, and just like, it's kind of fun. We sit around the fire all day, boiling sap, and again, sharing memories and talking and just having fun. It's been a fun tradition, and we are looking forward to that and growing that every year too.
No, it definitely is intriguing. I mean, I'm familiar with the process, but it's something I've never done and get that aspect on it. But it's definitely something I would like to try around here for sure.
I've got a silver maple in my yard. Can I milk that?
I mean, you probably could. I mean, if it runs in the spring, I don't know. That's all you need is just to get some sap.
Doesn't matter what kind of maple it is.
No, any maple is good. Sugar maples are typically better. There's a few different, obviously, kinds of maples, but we do silver maples as well. Yep.
And that goes right into what we were talking about, which is why it came to my mind was, that's some natural resource that's no pun intended, but untapped, right? If you can work for it, if you can go out and have the know-how and the skill to be able to do that, you can take it to something very valuable. That maple syrup is no joke on the shelf when you go to buy it. That's for sure.
That's awesome.
Exactly.
Super expensive.
Especially this year, in Minnesota, we had a record year of snowfall that was ever recorded. So this spring, I mean, when that weather hit, that sap started running, we still had waist-deep snow almost in some spots. So we're trucking through the woods, carrying 5-gallon buckets of sap. It's not easy work, but it's another resource. It's another kind of thing that we have access to, that we're able to kind of live off the land a little bit more. It's definitely reassuring, again, knowing where our syrup's coming from, we're knowing it's, high quality stuff. It's not fake syrup or whatever, but just being able to, again, work for something and what is provided for us, it's out there for everyone to try, pretty much if you're probably the northern half of the country, but living off the land, another way to do it and bring people together doing that as well.
I love it, and that is our last topic to cover here, and I just thought it was an interesting one and something that I'm definitely going to try in the future. I'll let you know how that goes, but thank you for being a guest here. Do you have anything you want to plug before we get off, or have we covered all your topics? Any social media pages or Instagrams or something you want to mention?
Yeah, I appreciate you guys for having me on. It's been awesome getting to know you guys and talk with you. But if you want to follow, we have a Facebook page, World of Waterfowl. That's what it is on Facebook. We kind of post on there stories, success, and that's welcome for everybody. It's a public page. And then if you want to follow me on Instagram, that is just my name, at Nolan Goshey, on Instagram. So yeah, I think it's been awesome. It's been an awesome conversation.
All right.
A couple of questions, Nolan. So, about your coffee company, how did you start with that?
So I started that this winter. Actually, I was just wanted something to that I'm passionate about coffee. I love coffee. I look forward to having that in the mornings and stuff. And I take pride in having a thermos full of that when I'm out duck hunting and stuff. I'm like, you know what? That'd be something kind of cool. It's an opportunity. So I know a guy that roasts coffee. So I got in contact with him. He was all on board on it. And I'm like, let's do a waterfall roast. He brought in, there's 3 different blends of beans from 3 different countries. And, it's a medium dark roast, but it's just kind of something that I like to do. And I know a lot of outdoorsmen and women also love their coffee and stuff. So I was just kind of it'd be something kind of cool to put out there and, see that kind of go and grow throughout the country as well.
Well, I definitely take coffee seriously, sir, so I look forward to trying your coffee.
Yeah, I'll have to send you guys some. I'd be happy to do that.
And then how long does it take to get the sap from, you said 140 trees, so you get 300 gallons. So how long does it take to get roughly 2 gallons out of a tree?
It kind of depends on the year and the tree. It's all different. Some trees run better than others, and then that kind of changes year to year. But we found, we could get 140. So each tree probably produces maybe 5-ish gallons on average. Probably not maybe even that much, but the whole season. So, it takes a good few days of hard running to get probably 200-300 gallons, and then we collect 3 or 4 times throughout that month season probably.
Well, we might have to come to Minnesota and visit you.
Hey, we'd be happy to have you. That'd be awesome.
Look forward to meeting you in person one day. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
All right, guys, you heard it. Follow him at Nolan Goshey and go get you some World of Waterfowl roast coffee. And this is Jonathan with Team AWOL. AWOL out.